Now let's talk about the button assignments. So every phone has 4, 12, or 24 buttons, or even up to 96 buttons. But to accomplish the programming of the buttons is often a question. So to accomplish that, let's go to Handsets, then let's go to a handset. Let's take this one for instance. Now, a lot of the menu options in the Allworx administration panel is modify. But in this instance, modify only simply accomplishes the changing of a name and the caller ID and the external caller ID. So, for instance, you can override the caller ID with a certain name, company B, and a phone number. So when you call out from that handset, it will broadcast this company name and company caller ID. It'll override that. But it's important to know that as soon as you hit update, it really needs to be restarted. The cool thing is we can restart the phone from right here. We can reboot the phone from right here. We're not going to do that at this moment. We're going to actually look at the buttons. So I want to point out the fact that modify only modifies the basically the caller ID and the name of the name that appears on the phone, like right here, for instance. To change the button programming, you want to click View, and then under Programmable Function Keys, which will be right here, you want to click Modify. So you can see there's some already done here. So actually, let's go back to a handset that's not been modified. Let's go to one right here. Let's go to this one right here. Actually, that's not one at all. Actually, in this system, I think I only have one. Okay, here's one that's not been modified. So this user has no buttons modified. So I want to show you some of the features that you have in the phone system. So let's go ahead and modify this under this programmable function keys. So if you want to see if another user is on the phone, for instance, so that button at the top button, it goes 12 down to 1. If you want to see if that user's on the phone, you want to program that as a busy lamp field. So you'd say busy lamp field, and then you just define that user. So I want to see when Amy Morley's on the phone. And so when I restart my phone, it'll blink orange. And when it's finally found her phone, when she's getting a call, it'll blink red. When she's on a call, it'll be red. And if she's on Do Not Disturb, it'll be orange. But this allows you to see when your coworker is either getting a call, on a call, or doesn't want to be bothered. So let's talk about some of the other features on another button. So another common one we do is a parking orbit. So we can park a call, and then we can define that parking orbit. So 701 is the default. That's, if you press park on your phone right now, it'll display 701. But that button allows you to see who's on park and pick that call up easily. So by pressing that button. So 701 will be our first one. We want to put like a threshold on here so we don't leave that caller out in park forever without knowing about it. So we'll say 240 seconds. And you can modify that however your business needs are. You say down there, let's make sure we have another parking orbit. We're a little bit busier than most shops, so we're going to put a second one on there and make sure we know when someone else is on hold, per se. Alright, so another popular one is a speed dial. So these are predefined numbers in the system, and they always start with 350. So we could actually say we're going to make that speed dial, and this is speed dial, to these certain individuals. So that's another common one. Let's look at the list here. So ACD is only if we have a call center or a call queue that we're using. Not very common. Call appearance just means down here we have a call appearance. Let's say we want a third line. We're really busy and we want to make sure we can put multiple people on hold. So let's put a couple call appearances down here. So we'll define those, and it's by default. It's done like that. No ring is kind of good because we don't want to be bothered when we're on a call. We can see it ringing, but maybe that caller doesn't want to hear that we have another call coming in and we're going to put them on hold. So Let's just say no ring for now, but know you have the option to change it. Another common um, another common use of this button is messages. So we can click messages, but now if we have a general voicemail box, and I don't have one set up on the system, but let's say it was general voicemail, and let's just call John Smith general voicemail. So if it said general voicemail here, we could actually click this, say done, and whenever there's a voicemail in that voicemail box, it would light up red on the 5th button from the bottom and indicate to us that we have a voicemail waiting. We need to pay attention to it. Call monitoring we don't do much of, and we can go into that in depth in another lesson. Supervision, let's say we want to supervise a caller, an employee that is on the system that's taking sales calls, for instance. So there's 3 types of options in the call supervision. It's barge in, silent, or whisper. Now you have to have a 9204, which is the 4-button phone, on the person that's being monitored. So if you don't have one of those, you can only use the barge in or silent mode. Whisper only comes with that other phone. So make sure you talk to your sales rep, make sure you get the right phone. So in this mode, we can say whichever we want. Barge in, silent, or whisper. So whisper means I can listen to the call, and when I hear the person making the wrong statement, I can say, hey, wait, tell them this, and the caller won't hear me, but my employee will. Obviously, barge in, everyone can hear you. And silent, you're just listening for coaching purposes. So pick whatever you want. So when you press that button and you dial that person's extension, you will get into that mode: whisper, barge in, or silent. So that's another common use of that button. And then the final one I'd say that's the most common is a shared call appearance. So if you want to share call appearance for a certain, we don't have anything defined in here, but let's say we have one DID that rings for the sales group. So I want them to all see it, like another group that covers a sales group, like marketing. I want them to all see the call coming in, and they can answer it, but I don't want it to ring on their phone. I just want them to know it's coming in. If it's rang too many times, you need to pick it up. So that's another function of that button. And then what you can do is click update here. Oops. I didn't pick anything, did I? Actually, I can't do this because it's not set up on the other side. So let's just make that a not use button. And this is an important point here. If you have a button that's not quite set up all the way, don't exit this window, because what it'll do, it'll try to do that function over and over and over, and then it'll make all the buttons blink on the phone. So if you have something that's not used, make sure you specify that it's not used. I'm actually glad we went over that. And then when you're done, you click update, and then what you want to do is click reboot the phone. So what will happen is, even if they're on the phone call, it won't reboot. It'll wait until they're done, and it'll give them 10 seconds, and it'll reboot the phone, and all those changes we just made will go into effect. And then they'll be able to use all those buttons. And that's the ins and outs of programming the buttons on your phone.